I was the first one to get it from the mailman. I ran up our entire apartment building screaming and hollering, and everybody knew.
12-year-old Fady Gabriel's dreams were about to come true. His dad, a chef in Cairo, Egypt, got a job in Boston. The family was moving to America.
We idolized almost, or daydreamed about this idea of coming to America, the land of freedom, of opportunity, better education, better future.
However, those hopes and dreams didn't come out the way Fady pictured. He and his family arrived a year after 9/11.
Kids would say stuff like, hey, are you Osama bin Laden's cousin or Saddam Hussein's cousin? So I was buried under all of the verbal harassment as well as the physical bullying as well. The rejection, feeling like an outsider.
Fady says the legalistic Christian faith he grew up in often made him feel the same way.
There was the shame piece that was reinforced at home and at church. I need to be good enough for God to love me and accept me, and that depended purely on my works and my good performance, which I can never do enough of. The part of it that wore me out the most was feeling powerless against my own sin. I sin Monday through Saturday. I go to the priest on Sunday. I confess my sin and rinse, wash, repeat this same cycle. So I'm in a permanent state of inability to please God. Why am I even here?
By his teen years, Fady had drawn one conclusion.
God is ticked at me. God is angry at me. God doesn't like me. I'm not enjoying anything. Everything is difficult. Everything is challenging. I want to escape that and go to a place where I'm not being bullied, where I am having fun, where I am enjoying myself.
In high school, Fady found friendship in a group of classmates. While it marked the end of the bullying, it also led him to smoking pot, drinking, and sleeping around. He also started buying into the beliefs of some in the group who were atheists and telling himself he could live a life free of guilt and shame.
I would have said, like, I don't believe that God exists. And maybe underneath that, in a more honest moment, I would have said, I don't want to believe that God exists. I like what I'm doing, and I don't want God to tell me to do otherwise.
Instead of finding freedom and happiness,
it was just this downward spiral. I'm awake, I'm aware, I feel futility and purposelessness. Let me go back to the drugs in order to numb that feeling, this underlying restlessness, right? Where I just don't have peace.
The teenager fought with his parents often. To keep the peace, Fady would go to church on occasion. He was still living at home his freshman year of college when a family they knew invited them to visit their church. Fady says it was much different from what he was used to.
People there were genuine, sincere, they were loving, really free, full of joy, full of peace, who loved Jesus.
Also different was the teaching about a loving God ready to forgive all sins through Jesus Christ, a message that would lead Fady's parents and brother to fully commit their lives to Jesus.
The fights and the tone and the anger at home was completely changed. My mom had a lot more peace.
As for Fady, he continued drinking, smoking pot, and partying, unable to accept God's message of redemption that had changed those around him.
The resistance was, I can't believe that God would ever forgive me for all of the terrible, wicked, horrible things that I've done. I'm not at peace anywhere, at home, at church, with God. I'm not at peace with myself.
The summer after Fady's freshman year, his dad insisted he go with the family to a church conference on the 4th of July weekend. Reluctantly, Fady went. But as he listened to the speakers, God's message of love and forgiveness finally broke through.
I'm hearing about the cross and the fact that Jesus died for my sin in order to forgive me and to cleanse me and to give me a new life and to reconcile me with God. And I felt like God just cornered me with his love and just embraced me in his arms and said, hey son, I love you. I've forgiven you of all your sin and I'm giving you my spirit. And that was my moment. That was my moment of surrendering my life to Christ.
Fady made a clean break from his lifestyle losing all desire for drugs and alcohol as he discovered his new identity in Christ.
The way that I think about myself anymore is not this horrible, terrible, wicked, no good sinner that God hates and despises. That was me, but because of the gospel and because of my position now being in Christ, God looks at me and he's very well pleased. God looks at me and he sees Jesus. And that conception of who I am before the sight of God changes everything.
After college, Fady married Renee and became a pastor at the Arabic Baptist Church in Boston. Every 4th of July, he celebrates his own personal Independence Day.
Independence from sin and death and hell and the grave because we've been united to Christ. So the symbolism there is not lost on me. God met me and completely transformed me and renewed me by his grace, which, I wasn't there looking for God, but hey, God was there looking for me.